Bitcoin is right now on the verge of its highest daily close in the history of baby bull kind and its highest weekly close in the history of baby bull kind. And I want to talk to you in this video about why I think we're just only getting started. So if you hold Bitcoin and you understand you're not about to make a lot of money, you're about to make a mega big load of money, hit that like and subscribe. And without any further ado, I want to jump into exactly what you should know as we enter this new week, which quite honestly has the potential of being the biggest week we've seen all year. And the price of Bitcoin, I think, as well as the rest of the crypto market, is about to do something extremely gigantic. So to start off, MicroStrategy owns over 2% of all Bitcoin, and it's getting added to the NASDAQ 100 in just a week. Trump confirms plans for a Bitcoin reserve. There's 120,000 Bitcoin taken off exchanges this month alone, with ETFs owning over 1 million Bitcoin and are buying about 5,000 Bitcoin every single day, with as well BlackRock recommending a 2% Bitcoin allocation. This is quite literally it is, if you're not bullish here, then I want you to check your pulse and I want you to get a brain scan to make sure that everything's okay. Because, could a black swan happen? Could something happen? Yeah, of course. Also, the earth could literally explode tomorrow. But for most of us, it's not really something incredibly likely. There's a lot of things that could happen, but we have to base everything on likelier scenarios. And the likeliest scenario right now is that Bitcoin is about to go higher, harder, stronger, and faster to the upside, more than anyone could ever believe. So I want to actually jump into this a little bit. So MicroStrategy, according to Joseph Betterman on X, might be the ultimate Bitcoin play. He's saying even better than Bitcoin itself. Now, I'm not saying I agree with that, but let's dive into exactly what's happening with this addition of MicroStrategy to the NASDAQ, and what Saylor has done, and what he has done in terms of his engineering of this whole Bitcoin treasury, Bitcoin play, and why it's about to go into overdrive. So in a world, as he says, on the Bitcoin standard, only assets that outperform Bitcoin will be invested in. Right now, that's basically impossible unless you have leveraged exposure, which MicroStrategy is doing. They have leverage exposure to Bitcoin. This part highlights how growth stocks command high PE ratios, and in a fiat world, money naturally gravitates towards these equities as one of the few places to store value because there's no hard money, and that's where the capital flows to growth stocks. Now, Bitcoin is the hardest money ever created, and as people are realizing this, most likely what will happen is that money will flow out of these high PE growth stocks and a giant rotation begins, and this is where MicroStrategy is going to take the cake. It's going to be most advantageous for MicroStrategy here. It's set up better than anything in the world to take advantage of this. With money flowing out of growth stocks, MicroStrategy becomes very unique, and especially with the new FASB rules counting Bitcoin gains as earnings, Wall Street could value MicroStrategy like a growth stock. So it goes over how Bitcoin drains value from growth stocks, and MicroStrategy captures both the flows, money flowing to Bitcoin, and money seeking growth stock exposure. It truly is perfect timing. With MicroStrategy being added to the NASDAQ, every passive NASDAQ investment indirectly buys Bitcoin. They're creating a bridge between fiat and Bitcoin and getting paid massively for it. And this is why he keeps talking about the Bitcoin treasury, Michael Saylor, and this product that institutional investors will love. Options, bonds, pension funds, indices, retirement accounts. MicroStrategy provides value as this bridge. Basically, the traditional financial system is being used against itself to accelerate Bitcoin adoption. Bitcoin heads to 1 million. Saylor's flywheel could accumulate 1 million Bitcoin, about $1 trillion on the balance sheet, which today's NAV is roughly 2.8x. It could hit like double that at about 4 to 5 as institutions value other NASDAQ growth stocks over a $4 trillion market cap. It's about a 40x from here, and a Bitcoin's 10x. So basically, a massive long-term move. And all of this as well, benefiting the price of Bitcoin. It adds and it helps accelerate the price of Bitcoin as well. With British HODL highlighting about Michael Saylor's plan to purchase about roughly 15,000 Bitcoin tomorrow based on his model. He posts that green and blue chart every day, like the day before he buys a massive amount. British HODL is saying that he's assuming 15,000 Bitcoin get bought tomorrow. It means he would need to buy about $100,000 by the end of the year to achieve the $500,000 goal that he's been talking about. And as the NASDAQ flows are about to start, even if 61,000 coins were purchased at an average of about 120, it will require only about 7 billion more of the remaining 9 billion. And then there's a lot, it goes into more detail about it. But honestly, I think it's honestly one of the most interesting things I think to watch here, as MicroStrategy's, as Michael Saylor's plan for MicroStrategy is playing out. Again, you go on CNBC and you listen to what they talk about. So many people are just getting completely blindsided. I'm not saying people. So many financial experts are completely blindsided by what Michael Saylor has engineered here. And it's kind of insane to watch. His entire business model revolves around one thing, which is buying more Bitcoin, issuing more debt to buy more Bitcoin. And it's like a perfect flywheel situation. It's kind of insane to watch. And I think that over this next week, it's going to be the most, honestly, I guess it's going to be more fascinating once the Trump administration actually takes over. And if they start implementing the Bitcoin strategic reserve and everything, that's when things really get interesting. Honestly, I think the next couple of months are just going to be insanely interesting in terms of Bitcoin and in terms of watching this whole thing play out. I think my prediction is going to be basically that I think that MicroStrategy and Bitcoin are going to go up, but I think this is going to be the most interesting and the most insane. What's going to lead to the euphoria, what's going to lead to the most, in my opinion, interesting dynamic and sentiment shift of this cycle is watching the billion-dollar hedge fund managers and the trillion-dollar asset managers and everyone else as well, traditional financial investors that have been dumping on Bitcoin for forever and they still think it's a scam or whatever, watching them witness the engineering of MicroStrategy, and also understanding, probably too late, that they made a mistake, that they missed something huge, a giant regret, similar to even the housing crisis of 2008, where if you could, after 2008's housing crisis, with the Lehman Brothers going under and all of this stuff, pretty much everybody on the planet would tell you, hey, I would have shorted it if I knew this was going to happen. Well, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think over these next few months, I think everybody on the planet is going to be saying, wow, I wish I would have longed this. I would have longed it if I knew what was happening with the debasement of currencies, with Bitcoin being adopted, with Bitcoin really beginning this massive adoption back in January of 2024 with the Bitcoin spot ETF approvals. Now with MicroStrategy continuing its game plan that Michael Saylor has had for the past few years, having survived the entire bear market of 2021 and 2022 and not getting liquidated. Now this man is on fire, right? He's dominating. It was just 2 years ago, people were posting oh, what is Michael Saylor's liquidation price and all this stuff. And the switch has completely flipped, or the script has completely flipped. And now with this, the fair value accounting for Bitcoin starting today, Bitcoin as a corporate treasury asset, FASB, Michael Saylor posts, has officially adopted the fair value accounting for Bitcoin for the fiscal year beginning today. And this upgrade to accounting standards will facilitate adoption of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset by corporations worldwide. What it means is that companies will now show Bitcoin's current market price on their balance sheets, not just what they paid for it. If Bitcoin price goes down or up, the value on the balance sheet will change accordingly. And unlike before, companies can now reflect both gains and losses. And this makes holding Bitcoin appealing, but also introduces income volatility requiring good risk management. Goodness. Also, Dennis Porter confirming that Trump is exploring an executive order creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Huge. I don't know. It's so hard. I don't know how you can see all of this and not be bullish on it and not understand. Very likely, again, nothing in life is guaranteed, but when we have all of this set up, and the thing is, you watching this, you guys are familiar with this, you understand, you've been following it day after day, week after week, so it makes sense to you and it clicks. But you have to understand, I would say 99% of the world doesn't actually know all of this insanely bullish news that's happening to the crypto space and Bitcoin specifically are coming in just the next few months. Most people in the world don't even know that. most people in the world, when they think of Bitcoin, they think, oh yeah, is that thing that people used to buy drugs on 10 years ago, or Silk Road or whatever, and all this dumb stuff. Meanwhile, they're missing the writing is on the wall. Like, it's so obvious. And I think when I think about it, I think, wow, why are more people not bullish? I think it's because most people just don't know. Like, most people don't even understand. Well, they don't understand Bitcoin. They don't understand MicroStrategy and what they're doing. And they also don't understand, they don't even understand 4-year cycles. So I guess I can't blame them for not knowing the other things. I'm not saying it's their fault, but actually, yeah. If you've heard about Bitcoin and you just immediately dismiss it without doing research, then yeah, it is your fault that you're not going to benefit from it. Because like, who else's fault would it be? Like, the only reason I'm in Bitcoin is because I researched it and I was like, wow, this is insane, and so I invested in it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what most people. That's like the only way you can really start investing is you have to understand it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is like a litmus test. But also, all the Bitcoin liquidity is sitting above 105,000 US dollars. You know what that means? Short squeeze potentially incoming. We also see TechDev posting this beautiful chart. Next wave up for Bitcoin, potentially all the way up to about 200,000. 200,000. The top comment, you can't see it here, but it says this chart is FUD, basically meaning, yeah, right, we're actually going higher, which, that's fantastic. But there's also, I'm not going to read over this whole thing, but Leo Hart posted the Bitcoin rainbow wave indicator chart. And really, if we zoom in, you can kind of see, I think this is roughly where we're at. This is where he's saying we are right here compared to the last every other cycle for Bitcoin. And as you can see, we're coming up on that last explosive move, that last explosive wave before then, most likely entering a bearish environment. So I think that's extremely big for the price. I think that there's only 2 weeks of the month left, two weeks of the year left. I think it's possible we see the most explosive beginning of this final wave. I think if we really zoom out and look at a weekly chart here, I think my opinion was this was the first wave. This was about 8 months of cooling off. And now I think we're about to see a wave, something like this. I think this is what we are bound to see over the next 6 or so months, 6 to 9, nice, 6 to 9 months. And let's just say, to me, that's extremely bullish. And as well, I do have a lot of trade positions open on some altcoins, as altcoins are actually doing very well today alongside Bitcoin. And I think that trend is going to continue, especially as we enter gigantic alt season. So if you're interested in trading, you can sign up with Femex or BITUNIX below. And you can get massive sign up and deposit bonuses as well. Without any further ado, that's it for me.